Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Apples and Genos Fantasy Hockey Podcast. My name is Nate Groot-Nibelink. I'm the creator of Apples and Genos, originator of the Zero G Draft Strategy. And in this podcast, Blake and I are going to give you all the best streamers and ad options for next week so you can start planning early. Let's get it. And of course, I have your friend and my best friend, the only man I'd trust to helm a Byreem. It's Blake Creamer. Blake, how are we feeling tonight?
Oh, man, you're always just knocking me right off the start, buddy. What the hell is a Byreem? You're gonna make me Google right off the top of the show?
I Googled it in advance just so that I would have this definition because I knew you would need it. It's an ancient oared warship or galley with two superimposed rows of oars on each side. That's all I can really tell you about. It was used in Roman times. It's in Civilization 6, if you ever played that game. Yeah. What more do you need to know?
Anybody want to switch seats? Yeah, I don't know. This is getting a little awkward, buddy. Everybody, you need to get over to YouTube right now. Nate got a haircut, everybody. Oh my God. He's looking svelte. He's looking coiffed. And plus, he just played a hockey game, so he's glistening a little bit in the light. I mean, this is prime viewing, folks. You got to get your biscuits over there. Give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a thumbie, and you get to see this beautiful hunk of man meat.
All right. Well, I don't know how I feel about giving us a thumbie, but why don't we transition out of that and transition into some newsies?
Newsies, yeah. We got to talk about the news. I don't even have this thing pulled up on my screen, so I'm going to do that right now. All right. I've been waiting for this one. This is terrible news, but I'm going to make light of it. Robert Thomas, I'm not crazy. I'm just a little injured. Yeah, he's out 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah, I just changed not well to injured. For comedic effect. Shout out to Rob Thomas. This guy, yeah, hopefully he gets well soon, but fractured ankle, that stinks. It's going to be tough for the Blues there. He's obviously doing well, but yeah, they pulled out a victory over, slumping Canada team. I don't know, which we won't be names, but yeah, I mean, yeah, that's showing no good. Look for Braden Shen to be the beneficiary there of the Robert Thomas injury for a few weeks anyway. Over to Seattle, Vince Dunn. He got himself on the LTIR, which, yeah, that's unfortunate. That really sucks. It sounds like, yeah, it wasn't as bad as expected, but now he's on the LTIR, so that stinks. Means the earliest he can return is in November 12th, actually. So, yeah, if you got the full Monty, Brandon Montour, fire him up. All right, this guy's been getting crazy minutes in the interim. He's shooting the lights out. It's a pretty nice pick, actually, where we were able to draft Montour. I think he's providing a lot of value there. So, nice piece for Brandon Montour. Get him in your life. Montreal, Juraj Slavkovsky and Caden Goulet. Staring contest, you and me. They're still not practicing yet with the team, so that's showing no good. But I don't know. What are your thoughts on Slavkovsky this year? I know we talked about him in the projection shows, but that's still a player of interest. Do you think that he's, when he gets back in the lineup here, he's going to be able to sort of get back to his ways that we saw last year?
I still think so. Yeah, it depends obviously what he's going to be missing from his game potentially when he gets back. Obviously, the underlying metrics playing on Montreal are never going to be terrific, but he was 139th in individual scoring chances, 4/60. He had 5 points in his last 4 games before getting injured, so he was clearly not suffering too much ill effects from a year off, and I think that this is a guy that we should still be relatively excited about, especially in bangers leagues, right? That's where he really comes to play when he provides all those peripherals for us. So, yeah, I'm still interested. The one thing is I kind of hate these shoulder injuries. It always seems like guys play through these shoulder injuries and they end up making them worse, and then they play through it even more, and it never heals correctly, and it just hampers them all year. So that is of a little bit of concern, but I guess we'll have to see when he comes back. You're going to want to see what he's like when he's back.
Yep, absolutely. I didn't get him anywhere this year. I just, I've never been a big fan of the metrics, and yeah, he popped off last year. Anyways, just a player of interest. I'm watching his career very closely. All right, and Caden Gooley, beefer of the century. All right, we need him back in our lives as well. Moving over to Chicago, Laurent Boissois. Like that. Still 1 to 2 weeks away. So we get some more Petr Mrazek. All right. And he's doing the thing out there. He looks pretty damn good. Lost the game tonight, which is Friday against Nashville, but it wasn't his fault. He played very well. Nashville they came to play. They're starting to click a little bit there. So yeah. That's what's going on there in Chicago. Over to Calgary, Igor Sharangovich and Samuel Honzek are practicing in full, which is great news, especially the Sharangovich piece, although Honzek did have a nice little preseason there as well. But yeah, Calgary's got off to a surprising start. I think you add Sharangovich in there, they're not going to get worse, right? And Sharangovich is a really good penalty killer as well. I mean, in terms of, providing offense at that position. So I like that. I think that's really good. So yeah, check on their status moving into the games here. Linus Olmark returned tonight and proceeded to give up 6 goals. Or 5, really. Yeah, I think one was an empty netter against Vegas, but he'll be better than that. But I mean, what's going on in Ottawa? I did expect Travis Green to sort of shore things up a little bit defensively there. And while it does take time when you get a new coach in there with, just a bit of a different system and, learning about the accountability piece, like, yeah, they're giving up goals in droves here. It's crazy stuff, although their power play looks good. I don't know. Where are you at with Linus Olmark this year? You think he's going to provide us some value?
Yeah, I still think he can be fine. But that is still based on the premise that Travis Green can get this under control.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so far, we haven't seen the evidence of that. Again, with new coaches, you have to expect some sort of bumpy road to start the season. It's not always just hit the ground running and everything works perfect from game one. So I'm not too worried about anything going on in Ottawa yet. Talk to me in 2-3 weeks, and if everything's still looking the exact same, then yeah, maybe we're starting to get a little more worried.
Let's go. Linus Olmark, lock of the year, according to Nate. Book it there. Buddy, Ross Colton. Why? Look what they did to our boy, Nate. They slashed him in the hand. I don't know. We're not, we don't have any update there. I mean, they were winning that game handily. So I don't know. Like maybe if it was a close game and he didn't come out, I'd be like, okay, this is bad. But they were up 4-0 at the time. There was no need for him to come back out. And we haven't heard anything. So I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic with Ross Colton, but yeah, if he misses time, that's going to stink. Obviously, Casey Middlestat still holds a ton of value, really, but Colton has been crushing. There's no two ways about it. This guy has really been electric on the power play, especially, and he's feeling it. So this really stinks, right? So yeah, sorry. I mean, Nate, have you been okay since you saw this and heard this news?
Well, I did the appropriate mourning period for the potential injury. I believe the appropriate mourning period for a potential injury for Ross Colton is about 35 minutes. And so if it's an actual injury, then obviously that gets up to basically as long as he's out of the lineup, I'll be in mourning. So stay tuned, and you can keep me in your thoughts and prayers as well.
Oh, I always do, buddy. But now I'm just picturing you, if we get some bad news, just you screaming into a pillow for like an hour straight. And that's, I hate to see you in pain, my man. But I mean, I got Ross Colton in 2 spots too, buddy. This guy was crushing. So anyways, obviously this guy's great and hopefully he gets back really soon. Moving over to the Islanders, the Duke, Anthony Duclair, out 4 to 6 weeks with a lower body injury. They might have dodged a bullet there. Like, I mean, that's a big injury, but it looked like it could be worse, and there was potential that it was. So 4 to 6 weeks, not that bad. So check that out there. Keep an eye on Anthony Duclair. Jared Spurgeon with the Minnesota Wild. He's Spurgeon all over the place, buddy. Get a towel. He's practicing. He's traveling with the team, which is good news. But, I mean, his fantasy relevance is in category leagues, right? He's not going to be doing much in a points league, but he's a block master. We know this. Ryan Hartman, however, with the Minnesota Wild, he's going to miss the next 2 games or the last 2 games of the road trip. So, yeah, that stinks. Just going to keep Marco Rossi getting a ton of time there. Jeek's already safe with his ice time, but Rossi's still going to be very fantasy relevant for the Minnesota Wild with Hartman out. In Anaheim, John Gibson is close to returning, and who the hell cares? All right. We got Lucas Dostal over here. John Gibson, no, I thought he retired. I don't know what happened. Do you think when John Gibson comes back, he's any threat to Lucas Dostal at this point?
I I had theorized before the season started that Dostal was going to be the 1A sooner rather than later. Dostal has looked good in the early going, and yeah, I wonder how much like organizational deference there still is to a guy like John Gibson. Clearly they have their goalie of the future. There's been rampant trade talks about John Gibson for some time. I think they'll probably 50-50 it so that they can try to feature Gibson for a trade again, but I think he's probably out of Anaheim as soon as, before the trade deadline this year.
Yeah, no, it's just not a player I'm interested in at all. And meanwhile, like Dostal is, I think he's leading the league in goals saved above average right now. Like, which is great. I mean, it means he's a really good goalie, but it also means like that's probably going to come down, right? Like
Yeah.
Anaheim is giving up a ton of chances. Their expected goals for is sky high, and Dostal's just up to the challenge right now. But if he brings his B game and one of these things, he's going to get pumped like 8-1 or something like that. So keep,
Yeah.
keep that in mind. Over to San Jose. Jack Thompson. Okay. We're talking about Jack Thompson here in the Apples and Genos Fantasy Hockey Podcast. We've had a lot of questions about this guy in the Discord as well. So I would like to get your thoughts on Jack Thompson as the power play one quarterback in San Jose. Also, the pickle, Alex Vlasic. Can I slip you a pickle? He's taken over power play one in Chicago. So talk to me about these two players and their potential fantasy value moving forward, Nate.
Yeah, it's hard to get excited, right? But I mean, I think you can give it a try here. Looking into Jack Thompson, I know that's not a name that anybody's going to be super familiar with, but he has had some decent success. Like you go back to his junior days, and this was a guy who was putting up, you know, he put up, what is this, 57 points in, I'm having to do math here because he split it between two teams, 57 points in 65 games in his final year in
Oh
the
my,
OHL.
nice
He
work.
put up 32 points in 46 games for the Syracuse Crunch last year before going to the San Jose Barracuda. And he got 9 points in 16 games there. So like above half point per game, right? Pretty comfortably wherever he's gone in the AHL. So that's something. Like it's not
Oh,
nothing
it's
to
a
be able to
glowing
produce that.
endorsement.
Yeah. So do I think that this is like a guy that's suddenly gonna light up for like 55 points or something like that? No. But I think you could probably do worse if you're really desperate for a defenseman. And to be honest, there probably are a few of you out there who are pretty desperate for a defenseman. So there might be something here. I don't know how long it lasts. Definitely, I wouldn't view it as anything to set the rest of the hopes of my season on. But Jack Thompson, I'm interested in. Vlasic is a bit of a weird one. Like the Chicago power play was
Yeah.
doing fine without him. Seth Jones was rolling. And they just decided, nah, let's go with Vlasic. And Vlasic has never been that guy. Like going all the way back, Vlasic has never been a offensive force in any sense of the word. Going back to his university days, Boston University, he had 4 points, 8 points, and 8 points in his university days.
Role player.
So, yeah, he's never been that guy. He's a terrific defensive defenseman.
Yeah.
It kind of feels to me like it's not a great stylistic comparison, but a little bit like Gus Forsling, where like he's obviously contributing a lot to the team, but never really gonna pop for fantasy, most likely. Forsling shoots more than Vlasic ever will. He does more on the ice for sure, but I mean, you can do worse if the Chicago power play is going to keep this up, right? And again, lots of people out there looking for defensemen right now. You can do worse. I just would temper expectations pretty significantly. This is not a guy who's ever produced in individual metrics. It's always been more about the opportunity. He's getting plenty of opportunity now. You can put him in there, but don't expect big totals.
Who are you taking, buddy? You taking Jack Thompson, the pickle, Alex Vlasic, or Adam Boqvist?
That is tough. I think I might go with Thompson just on the basis of the the very slight prospect pedigree that we do
Oh,
have. The
we.
fact that it's pretty wide open in San Jose. Like I don't think they're that tied to Jake Wallman. It's just he was like literally the only guy who'd ever run a power play before.
Yeah.
Um, I just think it's really unlikely that Vlasic actually holds it for the rest of the season. I think there's at least a chance that Thompson does.
Buddy, we did our hot takes episode already. What are you doing? He's got more in the tank, and I'm here for it. All right, that's fine. All right, let's move on over to Ottawa. Shane Pinto, the Pinto Bean. He missed Friday's game with an undisclosed injury. Undisclosed, like don't give us the injury. You know that's fine. It would be nice to know, but I don't know. No real beneficiary there. Top six just got more run. Keep an eye on that. Adam Gaudette played in his spot on power play 2, scored a goal, but only played like 9.5 minutes in the game. So that guy's not relevant at all. Over to a couple big signings here. Just I should get your thoughts on this really quick. Alexis Lafreniere signing the 7-year, $52 million contract. Shea Theodore, 7-year contract as well. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's $7 million plus. What do you think about those two signings? You think it's good value for those teams?
Yeah, I think that's good for both spots. Lafreniere, obviously, a guy that you can lock up now and before he's ever had the time to pop off on that top power play and really put up some point totals that might price him out even more.
Yeah.
That obviously makes a lot of sense for the Rangers there. And then you've got Theodore. I kind of thought that the Golden Knights might let him go after this year,
Yeah.
but then he comes out of the gate hot this year, some motivation maybe, and all of a sudden he's signing a big deal to stay there. And yeah, I mean, it makes sense to me. I've always been a big Shea Theodore fan. Whenever he's on the ice, he's doing really good stuff, not only for his team, but also for us in fantasy. So I think both these signings are good signings, make sense for their teams.
I love it. Okay, buddy, that's the news. Right at this point, we got to get the biz. We got to attack that schedule. We got to kick the hell out of that schedule, and we need your help, Nate.
All right, let's attack that schedule. Monday, we have 8 games. Tuesday, 7 games. Wednesday, 6 games. Thursday, 7 games. Friday, 6 games. Saturday, 11 games. And Sunday, 7 games. This is just amazing. After the week that was, where we had so few options, to have a schedule like this where there's only one heavy night in the whole week is just, it feels so good.
Beautiful thing.
If we go through the way that we normally do, 52 total games played this week. That's what I would call a normal week. Somewhere between 50 and 55 is usually where I put the normal category on it. We have one team with a Monday, Tuesday back to back. I should note before I get into that, there are 2 teams with a Sunday, Monday back to back. So if you have some extra moves at the end of your week, you want to get the Sunday game to try to win your matchup, but you can also get the benefit of a Monday game to open the week. You got Colorado and Edmonton who both fit the bill there. So that may be something for you to look at. The only team with the Monday, Tuesday back-to-back to open the week is San Jose. We have 8 teams with the Monday, Wednesday to open the week. This is a little bit less useful just because Tuesday is also an off night. Everything's an off night except for the Saturday 11-game schedule. But you got Calgary, Colorado, Columbus, Tampa Bay, Utah, Vancouver, Vegas, and Winnipeg that all play Monday, Wednesday. 2 teams with Tuesday, Wednesday back-to-back, and that's LA and the Islanders. 6 teams with Wednesday, Friday off nights. Again, less useful because Thursday is also an off night, but Calgary, Columbus, New Jersey, Islanders, Tampa Bay, and Winnipeg there. And then we have 6 teams with Friday, Sunday off nights. This is a little bit more useful to avoid that Saturday only heavy night of the week. Calgary, Minnesota, the Islanders, the Rangers, Tampa Bay, and Winnipeg there. Obviously, this is just an amazing week to stream just about anybody. If you like a player, they probably have a good schedule this week. Really, you're just only worried about not having to bench anyone on Saturday. That should be the focus of your streaming this week, in my opinion, because it's pretty unlikely that you're going to be benching anybody on any of the other nights. So yeah, that's the focus. Figure out what your lineup looks like on Saturday and stream to avoid benching anybody there. And maybe even just look ahead to week 5. If you're just flipping a coin between 2 similar options, you're like, these guys are both going to get in my lineup the same amount. I view them pretty similarly. Maybe just look ahead, see what the week 5 schedule is, and make a decision between the 2 accordingly there. All right, let's keep rolling. Let's talk about some lowered expectations.
Lowered expectations. Yeah, lower those expectations, people. All right. We actually, this is a great streaming week, but we do have a couple teams here with a pretty big garbage schedule, right? And we'll start in Dallas and Detroit. They both have 2 games with 1 off night. So when we're looking at those teams there, they both play. Well, Dallas plays Friday, Saturday, which is terrible, right? You're not even playing anybody until Friday, so that stinks. And then Detroit plays Wednesday, Saturday. So yeah, it's not good for these teams. So I think it's going to be tough to hold a lot of these players, and I think especially on Dallas. So we got to look at this team here. I think this is where you're going to be making some difficult decisions because Dallas has a lot of players that are valuable for fantasy, and they're doing stuff out there, right? So let's look at first off. I mean, Thomas Harley. He's a guy that we have to think about potentially dropping, right? And I'm not dropping Thomas Harley. I've got him in a spot. It's a 14-team league. I'm not dropping Thomas Harley there, but yeah, it's going to be tough if you're in a 12 team or if you're in a 10 team. I think Harley's get the hell out of my sight, right? That's not where we're going to be holding him, but obviously he hasn't been doing the thing. Like he's got 4 points in 8 games. That's not terrible. That's a 41-point pace, but we know that he's better than that. A guy I talked about on my Sell High show, and I'll even throw his line mates in there. Matt Duchene. It was Duchene, Marchman, and Sagan. Talk to me about those 3 players there in Dallas, Nate, and just what are you going to drop them? Because they're all sort of popping off right now. Like Duchene has 7 points in the last 5. Marchman has 4 in his last 5, and Sagan has 4 in his last 2. What are you doing with these studs?
Yeah, absolutely. I dropped them. I just think there's so many other options out there this week. If it was a different week where if this was last week, right, the week that we're currently in right now, if we're looking at it and we're like, okay, I'm not gonna get much out of these guys, but I'm also not gonna get much out of any streamer, then that changes the equation, right?
Yep.
But if in a week like this where you can pick up any number of players who are going to provide something, probably are performing actually similarly, like you can pick up some pretty hot guys across a number of teams. We're going to get into it here. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of potential out on the waiver wire in a lot of leagues right now. And so I'd definitely be okay to drop any one of them.
Okay, so those guys are going. I should say about Dallas as well. If you look at the next 2 weeks, Dallas has the absolute worst schedule of anybody. They play 4 games with only 1 off night. So again, this week they play Friday, Saturday. Then they have a 2-game week the next week. So think about that with some of these players, right? You're going to be dropping some Dallas stars. That's for damn sure. And continuing on with that, I talked about this player with Josh, but Jamie Benn, get the hell off my team, buddy. That guy's an easy drop for me. And what about put some stank on it? Oh God, Logan Stankoven. Yeah, he's been really looking good out there, but I mean, he's in the bucket with the rest of these players. I think you drop him and then you try and grab him again later, when something happens. Like maybe you pick him up for the Friday, Saturday. If you've got spots on Saturday, you can add one of these Dallas players and then kick him off your team again. Any thoughts on Stankoven in particular, Nate?
Yeah, I like what Stankoven's doing, but again, it's a spot where I would feel comfortable to let him go, even if he has like a decent game or two in those 2 games. You're still probably gonna at least match that from your streamer. That gets you the 3 or 4 games, and potentially you're gonna exceed it by a fair bit. So I'd be fine to move off Stankoven, be fine to move off Ben, even though he's back on the top power play unit there. Yeah, I'm fine to move off all of them.
All right. We got to be frank. It's getting dank for the stank. Okay. You got to get him the hell off your team. All right. Well, let's move over to Detroit. All right. This is a lot easier for me. Some of these players on Detroit here, like the first off, you tweeted something like this today about Detroit just massively overachieving. They're really not putting any pucks on the net, but they're massively efficient, and their goalies are stealing them games right now. So, I mean, besides Dylan Larkin, and I think you have to hold Lucas Raymond. And Patrick Kane. Yeah, you got to hold Patrick Kane, but guys like Enterbrinket, but Tarasenko, JT Compher, Eric Gustafson, get the hell off my team. But these guys are that show ain't no good. These guys are easy drops for me. I mean, talk to me though about Lucas Raymond and Patrick Kane over this 2-game week. What are you doing with them?
Yeah, I
And
don't
throw
think you
DeBrinket in
can.
there too.
Yeah, I don't think you can drop them outright, but I tweeted about it. I think all of these guys are a sell. This is a nice week to do it if you can, right? Move off them. Maybe you can find somebody. If you get the deal done on the Saturday, goes through for Monday, maybe you can get somebody who's getting you 4 games
Ooh.
this week, and it just kind of works out really well that way. I'd be happy to move off any of them. I do think that it's all going to come home to roost for Detroit at some point here. Like, if you look at their all strengths Corsi 4 right now, they have a 49.1 Corsi 4 per 60 and a 70.1 Corsi against per 60.
Is that bad?
It's It's 31st in the NHL right now.
Who's
So
worse, San Jose?
Montreal, actually.
Montreal? Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I just think there's no way this sustains. Like they've been getting terrific goaltending performances from Alex Lyon and Cam Talbot. Do we really trust those two guys to continue to do that for them ad infinitum on the season? I don't. So yeah, I think at some point it's all going to come home to roost. I think it gets worse before it gets better. I think probably they need a coaching change before things get better there.
Ad infinitum. What? Explain yourself, Nate. What are you doing? I told you to put that dictionary and thesaurus away. This is a fantasy hockey podcast. What are you doing?
I'm sorry. I'm
All right.
sorry.
Thank you for the apology. All right. Accepted. Let's move on. Get rid of your Detroit players. That's fine. All right. The other team that we want to look at potentially dropping players from, the New Jersey Devils, are streaming champions over the last couple of weeks. Get them the hell out of my sight. All right. We know the players here. Stefan Nason, bye-bye. Brendan Dillon, Paul Cotter. Welcome home, Cotter. Welcome back to the waiver wire, Paul Cotter. All right. That's where you live now. And he's not coming back. But Dawson Mercer, Eric Holla, any interest in these players? Like, one thing I should say about New Jersey is they do have both their games this week are on off nights. So the 6-game Wednesday and the 6-game Friday. So if that matters to you, you could use one move, get 2 games there for a Detroit player. But for these guys right here, I'm not interested in any of them. I've had to stream them because they've been the best streaming team, but I'm happy to get rid of my New Jersey Devils here.
Yeah, unless you've got the top of the line guys there in New Jersey, I think you're happy to move off of any of these. There's really nobody here. Like Dylan, I guess, has been nice for Cats leagues, but even there, like there's so many options. Once again, guys who hit and block are pretty available out there, and we'll get into some of that too. So I do definitely think that you can not feel too bad about moving off any of these guys. Even Stefan Nason, who's on the top power play, probably the most attractive name from kind of the secondary group of forwards there. Yeah, still no issues moving off of that player.
Yeah, attractive player as well. He's doing the dad bod thing, the balding hair. I mean, I can relate now. Like, yeah, I think that's more attractive now, Nate. I've heard that, I've read that. Maybe my phone is listening to me and sort of validating me in a way, just to make me feel good about myself. Anyways, let's move on. It's getting dark over here. And we got to move on to the next segment here, which we like to call crossing the streams. Yeah. Nate, we like to cross the streams, but buddy, do you ever get stage fright when you cross the streams? You know what I mean? You're sitting there with your buddy, you're like, all right, let's do this. You're stoked. And then you're like, hang on a sec, buddy. And this all full stream's just coming out. You know what I mean? Has that ever happened to you? Like, and then one guy's not really holding up his weight for the stream, so the other guy has to adjust, and then you're getting pee on your socks. I mean, it's just a situation that, we don't like to do, but I don't know. Can you relate to that, Nate?
Yes, like the dozens of times that I've crossed the streams. Yes, performance anxiety is a real thing, folks.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for validating that. That also reminds me, every time I go to a game, like a Canucks game or something, and like, in the period, you're like, I have to go. I've had like 3 beers. You rush in, you're standing at the urinal, and like, I literally stand there for 5 minutes. Like, I'm thinking about a pressure washer. You know what I mean? Just like shooting the stream out. Anyways, that's a lot of information.
Isn't that a sign that you should get yourself checked out?
Well, God. Well, now it is. Damn. What does that involve, Nate? That check for that? Is that just a routine situation?
I don't know. I'm too young for such things.
Okay, I'll have to Google that. Anybody know what's involved in checking that? Just hit us up in the comments. Okay, we need to know. All right, inquiring minds. All right, we got to cross the streams. We're doing that. This is going to be a weird one because there's so many teams like Nate talked about. So we'll just talk about a lot of the teams that are good and some of the players that are good on those teams. And I think more than anything, I think that the Dream Stream segment and the Hold Me segment, those are going to be really valuable because, yeah, you can just pick up players you like really for this week. So, but anyways, we're going to pump through some of this stuff here. So there are 4 teams with a perfect schedule here, 4 games and 4 off nights. We love that, although it's kind of wasted in this week here. But Calgary Flames, New York Islanders, Tampa Bay Lightning, Winnipeg Jets all play 4 games with 4 off nights. So that's nice to see. Let's start in Calgary. Jonathan Huberdeau. he's doing stuff out there. I mean, they're kind of messing around with his line a little bit. When you take the popsicle off your line, I think it's only downhill from there. So, but he did get a goal the other night. I like to see that with Jonathan Huberdeau. He's got 2 points in his last 5 games. Not too shabby, but it is shabby actually. Jonathan Huberdeau. I mean, but 7 points. I mean, 7 points in 7 games. That's a little better. I like him to beat his 55 points this year. I think we could get up to 60 points. What do you think, Nate?
I think we could probably get there.
Oh yeah, that feels good. That's confirmed. That's another lock as per Nate Krudniblick there. We also got Big Cozy. Pretty nice. Blake Coleman is out there. Igor Sharangovich, you got to check his injury status, but that would be a nice piece, a nice stash, actually, just in general, because I think Sharangovich, this is a guy that has 25 goal potential, potentially 30 goal potential if things break right. He's just a pure shooter. And Calgary's, they're doing all right. They've had a nice start here. Martin Pospisil, Connor Zary, Mikhail Backlund. Are there any of these streamers that you're interested in this really great streaming week, Nate?
Yeah, I mean, I have passing interest in every single one of them. Trying to find the right one is the tough part, right? Kuzmenko's got the best on ice stats, 26, Corsi 4 per 60, 24th on ice scoring chances, 4 per 60 over the last 5 games, but he doesn't have much to show for it. Only 1 goal, no assists in the last 5 here, just over 60 and a half minutes on ice. You've got Coleman and Backlund who are getting the most deployment. Obviously, those guys kill some penalties as well, but both have 3 points in their last 5 games, so they're getting it done there. 19 minutes for Coleman, over 20 for Backlund the last little bit. And the underlying metrics, not too shabby. 59th in shots per 60 for Coleman, 80th in individual scoring chances per 60 for Backlund. So that doesn't look too bad. I would say Connor Zary, but I'm a little bit worried with Sharangovich coming back about what that might do there. If Sharangovich just goes straight back to the deployment he was having before the injury, then Sharangovich becomes probably the most exciting player on the list, right? So there's a lot of moving parts here. Maybe we'll get a little bit more information over the weekend. If Sharangovich gets into the game this weekend that the Calgary Flames have, then maybe we get a little bit more information that way, and we have some better data points to make the decision here. But Huberdeau, I think I'm losing interest. Yeah, just the 2 points the last 5 games after the hot start there. I'm a little bit down on that. Pospisil, obviously, Banger Cats, that's where you're really interested in that. Nice to see him get a little bit more deployment, getting some Kadri exposure there, which is about as good as you can do on the Flames. But yeah, definitely all guys that I think are rosterable, guys that are streamable for the week. And it's kind of a little bit of the flavor of what's happening. I do want to see what happens when Sharangovich gets back into the lineup, what that does to the power play, what that does to the lines. I think that's going to help you make your decisions. I am going to prioritize players attached to Kadri. If I need, Coleman's shots and hits, if it is Bangers Cats, then I might lean that way. There's obviously going to be some factors. You get a little bit of a flavor of everything here.
Yeah, well said, man. Lots of options there in Calgary. I kind of showed this out in Cacuffle. I put in Cacuffle, there's a Discord chat that's basically your league chat. So I put in the chat, hey, I've got Hyman. I'm willing to sell on Hyman, but I needed a good piece coming back, kind of like a buy low for a buy low. You know what I mean? Just exchanging that situation. Some guy sent me a 1-for-1 Connor Zary for Zach Hyman. He was serious. I have you ever just reached for your phone? As fast as I could. My finger went to the thing, just so he knows, buddy, what are you doing? This is fantasy hockey.
Yeah, you pressed the hell out of that decline button.
Good job. Oh my God. I couldn't believe it. Just disrespectful. Tooting right in my face. That's fine. Kicking me when I'm down. But anyways. All right, let's move on. New York Islanders also have this great schedule here. And again, some decent options here. The Islanders have been underachieving a little bit. I think they deserve a little bit better in terms of their actual production. They've been putting some shots up, chucking pucks a little bit, but not really converting at the level we need, especially my boy Matty Barzal. He's actually shooting now, but no, I guess he doesn't care to score. He just wants to pad the goalie stats. But anyways, some of the New York Islanders streamers, Kyle Palmieri, he's crushing monsters. He's smashing through drywall. He doesn't give a damn. He's out there. And what, buddy, Anders Lee? Talk to me about Anders Lee, because this guy's on a bender right now.
Yeah, he's actually crushing it. First in the league in shots per 60 over the last 5 games, 3 goals in the last 5 games, over 15 and a half minutes on ice. So obviously not tremendous there, but when you're putting up these kind of rate stats, like you can make it work. 6 in individual scoring chances, 4 per 60, on ice numbers in the 50s. Yeah, I think he can do worse than Anders Lee. Might be the best stretch of his career in terms of the underlying numbers. Um, I, with the way that they're deploying things now, right? They're
Yep.
just kind of spreading it out across everybody. It worked for one game here, so I think it'll continue a little bit longer. He had 6 shots again in 14:44 in the game here tonight. In the previous 2 games he played 16:34 and 18:25. Yeah, I think it's just an interesting look and a guy who's clearly feeling it at the moment. And I mean, you're clearly only picking him up for the week, so as
Yep.
long as he can carry those good vibes forward for one more week, I think you have to entertain it.
Yeah, absolutely, buddy. I mean, it should be mentioned like for the last little bit here, Anders Lee has been on power play 1 with Bo Horvat while they moved Matty Barzal down to power play 2. But in this game here, they did play that a little bit, but Barzal by the end of the game was back up on power play 1 with Bo Horvat. So yeah, it was Lee. Lee wasn't there anymore. So they kind of went back to Old Faithful. So just something to keep an eye on, but I'm not sure that he needs it. He's not the type of guy. I do like a captain. You know what I mean? He's the captain of the team. I
Yep.
think, yeah, there's some extra pressure to come out and perform. And when he's feeling it like this, I like him as a potential streamer going into this week. I think, like you said, you could do a lot worse. And yeah, he brings the bangs, he brings the thunder. He does that too. So yeah, I like me some Anders Lee here, which I never thought I would say, but I am saying it. All right. We got to look at Romanov as well. He's good in B for leagues. Maxim Siplakov, again, I think is very good streamer for this week. It's a guy I'm happy to take a chance on, right? He's putting up some hits and he's getting some opportunity. And I get these tweets every now and then. I've got all my Twitter notifications on, but like, New York Islanders beat writers, they like this guy. They're like, yeah, Siplakov again, great shift out there, did this, that, XYZ. Like, he's noticeable out there, and I think that's a guy that can maybe do something for you this week. JGP, Pat Joe, and Mike Riley are some other pieces there. Any interest in any of these players, Nate?
Yeah, I just want to note Mike Riley. The ice time has not been there. He's averaging under 15 minutes the last 5 games, but with these split units, he actually played more power play
Yeah.
time than Noah Dobson did in this game. Don't necessarily expect that to be the case every single game. But it's worth noting that, he's getting those minutes. He probably needs more at even strength to really make it work, but
Yep.
some minor interest there. Siplikov, I just want to mention 339th in shots per 60 over the last 5. That's concerning to me in terms of the goal scoring potential there. I think he can be an effective player, but I am concerned that he's just not shooting anymore after he had that like 1 6-shot game early in
Yep.
the season. It seems like it's kind of fallen off from there. So I have a little bit of concern there.
Yeah, the shine might be off there. Mike Riley, interesting piece. I remember that's the guy that Patrick Waugh prioritized over Dobson at the end of last year. That's the guy who's getting power play 1 again. So he must like something he sees there in Mike Riley, except the fact that he's got 0 points on the season. Mr. Riley, what do you just, you get one shot, you get one chance to blow. Opportunity knocks. This is I don't know the words to the song. I'm trying to sing the Lose Yourself lyrics there, Eminem. Anyways, let's move on. Tampa Bay Lightning, worst streamers in the league, or are they? I don't know. We got Nick Paul, 2 first names. That's a choice. Anthony Cirelli and Yanis Moser. I picked up Yanis Moser, and I got I had him this last week, and it was an embarrassing ad for me. I was like, okay, I guess I'll get Moser. This is fine. But he popped off. He got a shorthanded point. He got 3 points in a game there. He's putting up some all right periffs. Like, yeah, I think you could do a lot worse than Yanis Moser. But any interest in those players there, Nate?
For stuff I want to address, what choice does one have about having 2 first names? Like if you have
Well,
a
it's
first
not
name
his
for your
choice.
last name,
Yeah, well,
then what are his parents supposed to do? Are they supposed to like come up with somebody's last name? Or are they supposed to call him like Johnson Paul or something like that?
yeah, exactly that. Like name him Carter or something, or name him Smith. Like, yeah, this is my son, or Jones. Yeah, I've got a nephew named Jones. That's a cool name. His
All
name should
right.
be Jones Paul. All right, that
All
sounds
right.
better. Or really lean in Rue. All right. Just as a
very
tribute,
nice.
right? Yeah, just get
Yeah.
this RuPaul. I think that's very that's an option, right? What are his parents doing? I mean, I'm sure they're lovely people. Let's shout them out. Nick Paul, beautiful person. Let's move on.
I think we should honestly. I think we should just call him Jones Paul. Like we should do for him what his parents couldn't do for
Yeah,
him.
okay.
And yeah,
I'm sure he would appreciate that. You know whose
right.
parents really they didn't drop the ball. They actually threw the ball up in the air up to this guy, Ivan. What?
Yes.
And I think it's Ivan. But I
Right.
mean, that is an epic name. When I see that guy out there, I'm just rooting for him just because of his name. I mean, that's the coolest name I've ever heard. Ivan. What? Your last name's Ivan. You're like, what do you want to name our beautiful boy? They're like, what about Ivan? I'm like, all right, yeah, let's lean in. That sounds amazing. Shout out to Ivan. Ivan. He's Raquel's arch enemy. Yeah, I'm just trying to find opposites of players and then pit them against each other. So Ivan, and Ricard Raquel, they're mortal enemies. We're moving on that as well. Are you good with this, Nate?
Absolutely.
All right, we feel good about this. All right, let's move on. I didn't give you a chance to talk about Tampa Bay Lightning, and I'm not going to, Nate. All right. Winnipeg Jets 7-0. What? This team's a wagon. They Scott Arniel. I can't talk Yang on the man ever again. Play Wheelers 15 minutes a night. We don't care. All right, you're winning games here, and that's all that matters for them. All right, it doesn't matter for us. But anyways, let's look at some of the streamers here in Winnipeg. Mom Spaghetti, Cole Perfetti, he's out there. Gabe Vilardi. I mean, what? This man's rostered at 25%. I don't get that. I know he's been cold, right? But the deployment and the team success too. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I don't know. I love Gabe Vilardi. I'm holding there, but this is a great week for him. Adam Lowry. I'm Adam Lowry. Dylan DeMello. Nino Niederreiter. Yes, it is Ned Niederlander. Vlad Nemenstikov. Mason Appleton. Talk to me about the Winnipeg Jets and all the boys you're going to be rolling with this week, Nate, so I can steal them.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting spot. Perfetti, 8 points his last 5. He's been on fire, but still just over 14 minutes average time on ice. 19th in shots per 60. Like, I legitimately think Perfetti's a really good player. But similar to Ehlers, I don't think he's ever going to get any kind of chance to prove it in terms of a fantasy relevant full season. Like, obviously, you can have stretches like this, get hot, have some crazy percentages, like a 24% on ice shooting percentage, as he's had over the last 5 games here. I would still take Vilardi over Perfetti over the next little bit. The underlying metrics are not good with Vilardi, but he still has the deployment. He's still going to be out there. 18 and a half minutes average time on ice. He's got 3 points his last 5. Scored his first goal. Maybe that gets him off the schneid here. A little bit worried about some kind of underlying injury just because of how bad the shots per 60 are here, but yeah, again, the Jets don't seem to be worried about it enough to like take him off top line, top power play situation. And so I'm going to roll with Vilardi over pretty much anybody else here. We'll note that Niederreiter has 4 goals in his last 5. So he's doing the thing at the moment, 20th in individual scoring chances, 4 per 60. Again, just over 14 minutes. If you get beyond the top guys in Winnipeg, everybody's in that 14, 15-minute range. You're never going to see anybody really getting a ton of deployment. So it is a little bit of pick your poison that way. But yeah, I'd take Vilardi first. I'd go Perfetti next. And then I have a little bit of love for Niederreiter as well.
Oh, that's nice. First off, buddy, I hate that you put out these evaluation tools to our listeners. All right, because they're smashing me. I'm gonna go 0-3 in the listener league. These guys are having their way with me. This stinks. But like I was telling you offline, I've got Hyman and Stamkos. All right, I'm changing my name from Cream of the Crop or whatever I'm the Creamy Beefers to the Stay Lows. All right. Because that's what my team wants to do this year, and that's fine. But yeah, as somebody else also, can one of our listeners go back to the beginning of last year? Nate and I had a conversation about Perfetti and Vilardi. Nate took Perfetti. I took Vilardi. Who's laughing now, Nate?
There you go.
Okay, it's one of my only victories, and it's not even. Cole Perfetti is out rostering Gabe Vilardi at this point and outscoring him as well. So what the hell do I know? Oh my god. Let's move on. All right, that's it for the Winnipeg Jets. There are a bunch of teams here that play 4 games with 3 off nights, and they are the Boston Bruins, Chicago Blackhawks, Columbus Blue Jackets, San Jose Sharks, Seattle Kraken, Toronto Maple Leafs, and the Washington Capitals. So let's get into that. Talking about Boston, we got to talk about Pavel Zacha and what he's not bringing to the table. He's really pissing us off, but he's still line one, power play one at this point. I think Zach is going to be a good player for you this week. Nikita Zadorov, the beefer to rule all beefers. Yeah, he's a mean person, everyone, and he's out there. So especially in your banger leagues, I think that's a guy you want to get. Hampus Lindholm, sure. I talked about Hampus Lindholm the other day as a guy I was interested in, and Nate said, fair enough. And then we moved on. So, and then, Hampus Lindholm proceeded to not really do a damn thing over the next few games. So fair enough to me. That's fine, but he's out there. The Coiler, Charlie Coyle, he filled the bowl. This year he's only going half, right? He's only filling it half. He went on an all vegan diet. He's eating a lot of leafy greens. Nothing's coming out except liquid. So I don't know. Sorry. Making myself laugh with the Coiler there. Cole Kopke, sure. Trent Frederick. I'm starting to lose
You're really struggling with this one.
I'm losing it a little bit. Talk to me about the Bruins there.
Did you see the update? I forget who it was. Somebody was held out of the game, and they literally, normally they would say illness,
Detroit, right? Yeah, JT Compher. Yeah,
JT Compher. That's who it was. Yep. And they literally didn't say illness. They just said he had diarrhea.
Thank you. We get undisclosed for the pinto bean, and we get diarrhea for JT Compher. So yeah, different strategies there. I don't know. Talk to me about the Bruins, Nate. Anybody of these tickling your fancy?
Pretty much no. Zacha, obviously, the guy getting the most deployment, still over 19 minutes on average last 5 games. But yeah, they have started to play around with the lines a little bit there. But again, they've practiced with Zacha back up there because the Marchand on the top line experiment didn't seem to go so well. So I think Zacha's the guy. I'm not excited about it. The underlying metrics are not terrific, but exposure to Pasternak is about as good as it gets in Boston. So I think you have to go that route.
Yeah, Pass is a buy low. I mean, how Pasta goes, Zacha will go. So I feel like Pasta's going to get off the schneid here as well. That's the third time we said get off the schneid. And I think, we got a couple more locked and loaded here, Nate. So let's see if we can throw that in. It's like that game where you try and say meow as many times as possible. We try and say get off the schneid.
Okay. All right.
So yeah, just keep that in mind. All right. I'm not interested in any of these boys except for the Coiler, just for the, comedic effect. All right. Chicago Blackhawks. Let's move on there. This is a team that does have some interesting pieces. So let's look there. I mean, Toivo Teravainen, if he's out there, I think you got to add this guy. Chicago over the next 2 weeks, they have the best schedule in the entire NHL. They have 7 games over the next 2 weeks with 5 off nights. So that's a nice piece, right? I think you have to take notice of that. So, Teravainen's playing with Bedard, and he's on the top power play. Nice spot to be. We also got Tyler Bertuzzi. Nick, is it Nick? Why am I blank on that? Nick Foligno. Yeah, I was thinking of Lou Ferrigno, but Nick Foligno, that's fine. He's doing stuff. He's on power play 1, so I like that. Taylor Hall, Philip Kurashev coming off a healthy scratch, looked a lot better tonight. And then the pickle, Alex Vlasic. How you like your Blackhawks here, Nate?
Yeah, I think Teravainen, I think he's almost out of the consideration here. He's rostered in probably a lot of competitive leagues, at the very most, 48% rostered on Yahoo. But yeah, I think this is a player over 20 minutes average time on ice. Yeah. He's out there in all situations. And yeah, he's got 7 points in 8 games on the season. It's toned down a little bit. The last 5, he's only got a couple of assists to show for it. But as long as he's on top line, top power play with Connor Bedard, I'm going to be super interested in that player. Bertuzzi does seem to be coming around a little bit. The ice time is a lot different, 16 minutes there, but 2 goals the last 5 games for him. 49th in shots per 60, 51st individual scoring chances, 4 per 60. I have some interest in Bertuzzi. Foligno obviously getting some exposure to Bedard as well. And so that's got to be interesting if you're streaming some Blackhawks. And they pretty much have run these lines, I think it's 3 straight games now. So it does feel like they're trying to settle into something here. So I feel a little bit of confidence in terms of who I'm going to be playing there.
Yep.
Taylor Hall has some good underlying numbers as well, 32nd in shots per 60 and individual scoring chances for per 60. The difference there, only just over 14 and a half minutes average time on ice there. And then Vlasic, who we mentioned, getting some top power play run. And yeah, I think you could do worse if you need a defenseman with a great schedule for next week.
Lovely. All right. Weird. We've got actual Blackhawks that we're interested in. That's a what a lark that is. All right. And then let's move over to the Columbus Blue Jackets, who also have some pretty damn nice pieces, starting with Igor Chinikov. This is a player, folks. I mean, with all the injuries there, this is a guy that's kind of shot up to, he's getting some great deployment. Just over 18 minutes. The metrics look good. I mean, I'll let you get into that, but he's out there. Adam Fantilli, the minutes have gone up here in the last 5 games. I'd love to see that. I mean, he did have that one big game there that's, kind of bolstering it, but I'm still waiting for him to pop off here. It hasn't really happened the way that I hoped it would this year, but yeah, we'll see. I'm still liking Fantilli. Sean Monahan, I think, is the player that I'm actually pretty damn interested in for some reason. Like 7 points in the last 5 games. He's playing over 20 minutes a night. That's good. That's good enough for me. I think this week with this kind of schedule, you could do a lot worse than Sean Monahan. Kirill Marchenko, obviously that's a favorite player of yours and just a player that we like over here at Absolute Genos. So lots of good stuff there. Provorov, I mean, bad haircut aside, he's a cooking of something up. I don't know why I did that in Italian voice, but yeah, I mean, he's Russian, damn it. But 2 assists in 6 games on the year. I mean, actually, the metrics are terrible, but he's probably pretty good in a bangers league there. I don't know. I don't roster the man ever. All right. And then Damon Severson, Cole Sillinger, who's getting power play 1 randomly. Like, I don't know. I don't understand, but he is a good offensive player. Talk to me about the Jackets here, Nate.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting here. So Chinikov was bumped off the top line in the last game in favor of Sillinger, actually. So Sillinger top line and top power play at the
Why
moment.
not?
They practiced again with those lines on Thursday. I saw an update. So it does seem like that's the plan to go into the Saturday game here, see how that goes. But yeah, as of right now, you got Sillinger line 1, power play 1. Along there with Monahan and Marchenko, Chinikov on the top power play, but also on the second line with Fantilli and Pitia. I have no idea how to
Nice.
say this
Yeah.
guy's
There was a
name.
contest online. It was like pronounce this man's name and win a t-shirt or something. I was like, I don't got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, you could do worse than playing alongside Fantilli. I think my thoughts on Fantilli's potential are pretty clear to everyone at this point. But yeah, I think I'm really feeling Marchenko at the moment, just with the production is there, like on ice stats are there. He's 12th in the league in on ice Corsi 4 per 60 over the last 5 games. That's really good stuff. Does seem to have established something there with Monahan. And then, yeah, if Sillinger's going to get up there, Sillinger's a guy who's flashed some ability in the past. If he's going to be skating 19 minutes a night, I can get into it. So, yeah, I think you have a lot of options there. I think I go with Marchenko and Monahan as the top guys. Chiankov maybe just a half step behind just because of the fact that he's away from those guys and might get a little bit less deployment. And then you've got Fantilli there and you've got Sillinger. You've got lots of options here.
Yeah. Are we low key into the Jackets this year? Like they're scoring well above expected right now.
Oh, yeah.
Like I think they're, according to Jay Fresh, he releases like a Stat Central thing. So shout out to him on Twitter. But yeah, according to his metrics, the Columbus Blue Jackets are 3rd in the league in goals scored above expected in all situations. The Jackets.
Yeah.
What? So, I mean, that's great and all, but that could mean some regression there, right? Like they're converting pretty hard here, but I don't know. They've got some talented players. I love the shout out on Marchenko as well. Like he's obviously a really talented player. So yeah, love me some Jackets this year. I hope they do well. Let's move over to San Jose. I mean, the options get a little slimmer here, but not when it comes to Granny. Granny, Mikael Granlund, Nate's stream of the year. This guy is popping the hell off. He had 5 assists last week. Now he started this week with 2 goals. What the hell's going on? He's playing like 22 minutes a night. Granlund is a must roster player at this point, folks. You got to get him on your team while he's doing this. There's no question. It doesn't matter how bad the San Jose Sharks are. They were horrible the other night, and then he comes out and pops 2 goals, right? So I don't know. I think he's just doing the thing right now. And I think when a guy's hot like this, I think you got to pick him up, put him on your team, and he's getting this kind of deployment. So I like that. Jake Wallman's out there. Like we talked about earlier, he got bumped off power play 1, so that's going to cap him, but still good peripherally. Fabian Zetterlund, even strength, terrible. He's still on power play 1, so that's fine, but I'm not too excited there. Will Smith, no. I saw a tweet earlier that, he's going to be getting load managed, kind of similar to Leo Carlson this year, right? They have a plan for him, quote unquote plan. So I'm out on Will Smith this year. There's no point, right? He's not doing enough either. Going to be a good player, but it's just not a guy I'm interested in. And then Jack Thompson, sure. Nate's already talked about that. So we've talked about some of these players already, but Granlund, Wallman, Zetterlund, Smith, what are you doing with those players?
Yeah, I think Granlund's the obvious target here. Zetterlund, as long as he's getting that kind of deployment, I think he probably gets bumped when Celebrini's back. But for the moment, I think that's a good look. Wallman, I think you're probably okay to drop if he's not going to be on the top power play. But the nice thing about Wallman is he is 16th amongst defensemen in shots per 60, skating 22 minutes a night. So if he does get the top power play back from Jack Thompson, then he's right back to being one of the most rosterable, low rostered fantasy defensemen out there. So I'm not giving up on Jake Wallman, but it's pretty hard to roster somebody who's not on the top power play in San Jose.
We'll never give up on you, Jake Wallman. All right. You gritty your little buns off. All right. We're here for it. Let's move over to Seattle. They have the 4-game 3 off night as well. We're looking at, B for Adam Larson, and he's put up a few points here lately, which is strange, right? But that's nice. Unexpected, but nice. The Jerk Store, Oliver Bjorkstrand, Matty Beniers. Thank you for love of Pete for actually doing something the other night. I've got him on 2 teams. I dropped him off 2 teams. I had him everywhere. All right. I put my money where my mouth is, and this guy was tooting in my mouth, but that's fine. But he's doing stuff now. Jordan Eberle, Eli Tolvanen, Chandler Bing, Stevenson, Riker Evans, and Stephen Wright. I used to play with the guy, Stephen Wright. Shane Wright. Talk to me about Seattle. What are your thoughts on this team in general so far under Dan Bylsma?
Yeah, obviously we're hoping for a little bit higher deployment just for the guys that we wanted to see it for. Jared McCann obviously being chief among them. But I don't think it's been too bad of results. The Kraken are 9th in the league in all strength scoring chance for percentage. Yeah, it's hard to argue when you're getting some results like that. Of the players you mentioned, Jordan Eberle is the guy I'm most interested in. Obviously named captain and has been producing 6 goals, 8 points in 8 games to start the season. That's not going to continue at that rate, but I mean, he's 45th in league individual scoring chances 4 per 60, 28th in on ice scoring chances 4 per 60. I think he's the clear top guy to roster at the moment. Bjorkstrand, another guy that we've liked, currently getting under 15 minutes though, so that's a little bit tough. I think you can do Beniers. Chandler Stevenson's
you can do
getting
Beniers,
20.
all right? It just do it. It feels right.
Yeah, you can do Stevenson too. It's
Oh,
really
no.
disgusting, but 20 plus minutes. He's got 4 points his last 5 games. You're really just hoping for a few assists, but if you're in a deep league, Chandler Stevenson, you could look that way too.
All right. You can definitely do Beniers. All right, Nate. All right, this guy is pretty damn good. He's woken up from his slumber. He's ready to go. I'm still not high on Beniers. I'm mid on Beniers. I think he can do something. Anyways, over to Toronto. Let's look at some of their streamers, or lack thereof. We got Matthew Nyes. We got Jake McCabe, Maximus Domius. He's out there. He's out there centering the vaunted second line, which is pretty damn nice. For now, Bobby McMahon, some high quality H2O, and Nick Robertson. Yeah, talk to me a little bit about your boy Nick Robertson.
Yeah, it was interesting. The last game, it was obviously didn't go the way that the Leafs wanted, and so they were trying some things. One of the things they tried was giving Nick Robertson 17 minutes of ice time for the first time, I think probably in his career, but definitely this season. And he responded. He had 5 shots. He had a bunch of scoring chances. It's something to monitor moving forward. I don't think Berube has the same predilections for some of these players that Keefe did, and so you you can have some hope that he might decide to play certain players more than others. I will note Matthew Nyes, who we were more excited about before, down to 14-22 in this one, did not register a shot, one single shot attempt. And so that's obviously a lot less exciting. I think that, yeah, Robertson is of interest. Bobby McMahon got a brief run with Matthews and Marner on the top line at the end of the game, basically when Nyes got demoted. So keep your eyes peeled to see if that continues. Max Domi has been pretty solid, I would say, generating something, 3 assists last 5 games. The ice time's not really there, though. That's the tough part there. So, yeah, it's kind of just guys that you're hoping are getting some good exposure. Basically, whoever is on the top line with Matthews and Marner is probably the one that you're going to be most interested in.
Yeah, that's always going to be tough. I'm never going to be excited about the Leaf streamers. It's just
Yeah.
because there's so much variance, right? They're just jumbling them all up. You've got their duos there that they usually stick with, but yeah, too much variance. I'm not that interested in any of these players, but that's fine. And lastly, of the 4 games and 3 off nights, we got to talk about the Washington Capitals. We got Wilson, Tom Wilson, 4 goals and 1 assist in his last 5. Yet I've been seeing him dropped all over the place. It's crazy. But yeah, I don't know why people are dropping Tom Wilson. Dylan Strome, PLD, Connor McMichael, who's had a nice little few games here. I talked about him on the Sell High show. And Mangiapane, Mr. Eat Bread. All right, he's out there as well. Andrew Mangiapane. Who's your favorite streamer on Washington?
Yeah, if Wilson's out there, you should probably look his way almost 20 minutes a night. But Dylan Strome has to be the top guy, in my opinion. He's just getting OV exposure. I know that's not what it once was, but it's still something. It's the most reliable thing, I think, still on this team over the course of a full season. And so I think I'm going Dylan Strome as the top guy once again. But yeah, Wilson's right up there. McMichael, if you think he can stay hot, the underlying metrics suggest that it might be a little bit of a flash in the pan. But yeah, that's pretty much all that I'm interested in Washington.
What? Oh my God! Yeah, that's all right. That's petty. All right, that's passive aggressive, Nate. What would it take for you to roster PLD? Will PLD make an appearance on your roster at some point this year?
If he can score a goal on a net that has a goaltender in it, that would be a good first step.
Hey, 82 assists is still a point per game pace, Nate. All right. we you know what? Whatever. All right. This guy's doing stuff out there. All right. He's got 5 points in 6 games. We're loving us some PLD for 60 points this year. You know what his pace is right now? 68 points. Okay. Pretty, that's it's in the wheelhouse. Anyways, let's move on. We're going to speed run the hell out of these last ones because I've been yammering my buns off. All right. So we have a bunch of teams that play 3 games with all 3 off nights: Anaheim, Carolina, Edmonton, Minnesota, New York Rangers. We're going to speed run this, Nate, and I want to hear your favorite streamer from these teams. All right. Starting with Anaheim. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
What is a duck? We don't know. We don't care. All we know is the sound it makes when it crushes our fantasy opponents' feelings. I'm sorry. I told you I was going to speed run. Anyways, Anaheim, Gudas. All right. Terry Gudas. I said that weird. Troy Terry, Leo Carlson, Mason McTavish, Trevor Zegras, Gauthier, the fresh maker, Pavel Mintyukov, and Owen Zellweger. You had me at hello. Who are you taking out of these guys?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think you have to go Terry as the number 1 guy, Carlson as number 2. Saving a shutout for Cutter Gauthier, 3rd in the league in individual shot attempts per 60 over the last 5 games.
Okay, sweet. I said 1, but you just said 3. That's right. This man doesn't follow directions, so we're just doing it Nate's way. That's fine, people. All right, move on. Carolina. Nothing could be finer. Okay. Jacob Slavin, Maven, Dmitry Skorlov, Jesperi Kotkaniemi. He's on the list, Nate. 5 assists in 6 games. What do you have to say for yourself, Nate? I'll save it for this. All right. And Jack Roslovic. Yeah, talk to me about why you're going to pick Jesperi Kotkaniemi.
I'm not going to pick Kotkaniemi. I'll take Roslovic top line with Aho and Svechnikov in the last game. The underlying metrics are looking really good right now. 23rd in shots per 60, 22nd in individual scoring chances, 4 per 60. Give me Roslovic over Kotkaniemi.
Oh, this is some bull crap right here, but that's fine. All right, let's move over to Edmonton. Buddy, we actually might have a streamer in Edmonton. How about Avi? Victor Arvidsson. This guy was flying tonight. So, I mean, if he's out there, you got to add Arvidsson. And we also got Adam Henrique. Like, did he even play tonight? We're going Arvidsson there, right, Nate?
For sure. Yeah.
I think he just realized he's playing with Draisaitl. And he's like, oh, all right, yeah, I can do some stuff, but he was flying out there. He did take a hard hit into the boards and he came up holding his hands. So that might be something to check out, but I think he was okay. Anyways, moving over to Minnesota, Marco Rossi, Ryan Hartman, who is day to day. So we got to check that out. Jared Spurgeon, day to day as well. We'll take them out of the mix. How about what the hell's the other Foligno's name? Marcus Foligno. God. And then Marcus Johansson. So Rossi, Foligno, or Johansson. What are we doing? I think I know the answer.
Yeah, it's got to be Rossi. 5 points his last 5 games playing with Kaprizov. That's as good as it gets in Minnesota.
Oh, that is as good as it gets. All right. But you know who's getting the most scoring chances for? Marcus Johansson. All right. Just saying. Anyways, let's move on. New York Rangers. We got Will Cooley, Riley Smith, Philip Hedel, Capo Caco. 4 of the coolest names I've ever heard in my life. All right. Who are you taking?
This one's a little bit tough, but I think you got to go with Riley Smith. He does have 5 points his last 5 games, obviously getting the better deployment there. So I'm going to go with Riley Smith.
Frickin' unit. I'm taking Philip Hedel. We got to go with Philip Hedel. It's the micro stats. It's the micro penis. All right, let's move on. But he talked to us about the. He doesn't have a micro penis, folks. It's just when I hear micro stats, then my brain goes to micro penis. All right, I'm just explaining it. I don't want to slander this man. All right, let's move on. Talk to us about the Patreon, Nate. What's going on with the Appleton Genos Patreon? Because that's what the people want to know. It's an hour in, Nate. I think people have turned this crap off.
Well, if they haven't, then I guess I could tell them about the Patreon. $2 a month gets you the supporter tier, access to patron-only live shows. Once a month, I do a show just for patrons. Take questions about anything and everything. I have a topic that I talk about. Probably going to talk about my waiver wire process in the next one. It's been requested. Apple's tier, $8 a month gets you, obviously, get the access to live shows as well. Also, there's patron-only Discord channels you can get in with the other patrons and talk shop there. All my show notes, including the show notes for this episode, the flagship episode, you can get all those, and also access to the player evaluation tools, which can be pretty helpful. It's what we're looking at when we're telling you all the stats about each of these players as we go through here. If you are a true degenerate, you can get the $15 a month Genos tier. You get all the previous perks mentioned, but you also get every single question answered, guaranteed by yours truly. Blake, let's move over to the Dream Streams. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready, baby. Let's go.
All right. So best for points, I'm going to rank them as best I can. I feel like this list is very subject to change and subject to whatever you're feeling at the moment. We've been saying this all along. Basically, whatever you can fit. Obviously, you're going to prioritize some of these teams with the 4 off nights, get that extra game, put the quantity of games played on your side. The list that I came up with was Velarde, then Coleman, then Anders Lee, Cole Perfetti, Igor Sharangovich, obviously assuming he's back, Connor Zary, Kirill Marchenko, who's the first one showing up here with only 3 off nights, Andrei Kuzmenko, Kyle Palmieri, and Jonathan Huberdeau. Yeah, I'll say I'm just excited about Marchenko, so that's why he's the only guy with 3 off nights here who makes the list. Even if you can't get him in on the Saturday, I do think this is a spot where you might want to get him in. And the other part of that is that I will say Columbus plays their 3 off nights before the heavy Saturday, so you could even just roster him for those 3 games and then move off for like a Sunday stream or a stream for next week if you're winning. So he does give you some optionality there and gives you a little bit of extra help that way. So that's the list I came up with. I don't feel great about it, if I'm being honest. I think you could jumble up these names in a lot of different ways. I don't feel like there's, sometimes I talk like through the tiers of players. I don't really feel like there is a tier here. It's all just kind of one big list. How do you feel about it, Blake? Would you rearrange? Would you add anybody?
I'm not adding people, but I like the addition of Marchenko in there. Like you said, it's subjective, right? Like I could go through, rip this list apart just with guys that I'm interested in. But I mean, for this purpose, I think it's really good. I think we got to roll with it, my man.
All right, so let's talk about some hitters and blockers for your bangers leagues. Best for hits, at the top it's got to be the Popsicle, Martin Pospisil, Will Cooley, Marcus Foligno, Brock McGinn, Fabian Zetterlund, all these guys doing the hits thing and doing it in spades. Some of these guys only the 3 off nights, and I did take that into account, but they're hitting so much that it's actually going to be worth it for you. Yeah, Cooley and Foligno and Pospisil, these guys are just racking up hits at insane rates. So I do think that you'll get a lot out of them, even if you can't get them in for heavy nights. Best for blocks, I think Ryan McDonough actually shows out pretty well in recent, basically since the start of the season, realistically, is what we're looking
Yep.
at. But McDonough's been doing that. Radko Gudas obviously does that, and he'll hit some as well for you. Jake Middleton, Chris Tanev, Alex Vlasic showing up here as well. So Vlasic getting some power play time, but also going to get you some blocks if that's what you need. Anybody on the list here, or are you just going to talk about Martin Pospisil for the next 30 seconds?
Yeah, you know what? 30 seconds? I mean, if we weren't running so long, buddy, I thought we could do a whole pod on this man. He's a beautiful man. He's moving up the lineup, folks. They got him on line 1. The popsicle. It's about damn time.
All right. I can't begrudge you your Pospisil time after you called him as your guy earlier in the off season before he'd even played.
That's right.
So let's move down to Hold Me. Best players to add for the future, for the long term here. It's still a big list. Still, the Yahoo general public has not caught up with what's going on in the league,
Yep.
I would say. JJ Peterka is still somehow only rostered in 38% of leagues.
Yeah.
You got Dylan Strome, Nick Schmaltz, Barrett Hayton, Teuvo Teravainen, Mikhail Granlund, Gabriel Velarde, Casey Middlestat, Tom Wilson, Yegor Chinnikov, Dylan Cousins, Cole Perfetti. All these guys fit into that 20% to 50% kind of range here. I guess just to highlight, I do think Teravainen and Granlund are for real. I think they are going to get this kind of deployment all season long, and so that's something to hang your hat on. If you are looking for just guys that you feel like you can be confident in rest of season, I do think that those are 2 guys that you can there. I'd still take Peterka, Strome, Schmaltz, Hayton. I'd still take those guys over them just for the combination of ceiling and role there. But I do think you could do a lot worse than those 2 veterans who are currently getting big minutes there. If we go down the list to the sub 20% rostered, so in a little bit of your deeper leagues, Marchenko, the top of the list here, he would actually rank higher than some of the guys I had in the previous list if I had to put them all together in one. But definitely he's at the top of this particular list. I got Carlson and Terry here as well. William Eklund showing up here. Fantilli, Jordan Eberle, as I mentioned, I'm interested in. Connor Garland with his hot start to the season showing up for the first time on this list. Marco Rossi with his deployment seems to be making good on the Kaprizov deployment right now, playing alongside him at even strength. And so that might be something to look at. Connor Zary, I've kind of demoted down here a little bit until we see what comes up with Sharangovich and where Zary will be playing after Sharangovich is back in the lineup. And then Braden Shen here with the Rob Thomas injury. I think Shen probably gets a little bit more run and probably has a little bit more value for you. Sub 10% rostered, we're going with the Tinkly Winkly Man,
Oh,
William
I'm so happy
Frost.
about this. Okay.
And Fabian Zetterlund still showing up here. Kirby Doc, Pavel Dorofiev, as long as he's actually, I didn't check this, so I should probably double check and make sure they didn't take him off the top power play. They did not. He's still there, playing with Thomas Hertel at even strength. Good enough for me. 3% rostered, Pavel Dorofiev. And then I did add Jack Roslovic at 1% rostered for the absolute deepest of leagues. You can get him in for this week with the good schedule Carolina has. It's probably going to go away. It seems to always go away with Jack Roslovic.
Yep.
But 1% rostered, if you are in a tight spot, this is a good week to pick him up and just see if he can mature into something a little bit longer term on your squad. Blake, I just threw out a absolute crap ton of names. Talk to me about anything here. Anybody I missed? Anybody you want to highlight?
Yeah, it's good stuff. I just wanted to get your thoughts on Josh Norris really quick. He's 33% rostered. We're getting a lot of talk on him in the Discord. People are doing crazy stuff, like trading for Josh Norris and giving up a huge piece, like going back. Like, I don't get it. Like, I talked about Josh Norris a lot with Josh on Rolling Lines, and I love him as a streamer with benefits, like a guy you potentially hold on your team. But I'm not sure that he's a must roster player at this point. Like, where are you at with Josh Norris?
Yeah, it's worth talking about. He did get 21 minutes 18 seconds in the game here today, so obviously the deployment looks nice, but only two shots, 3 individual scoring chances for. It's just okay
Yeah.
on that front. That being said, like he's got, I think he's got 5 points his last five. Yeah, 3 goals, 5 points his last five. The underlying metrics are still not quite there. Maybe they'll come, but if they don't come, I'm a little bit worried, and so I'm
Giggity.
just a little I'm just a little bit worried with Josh Norris still that this might be even the best stretch of the season for him that we're experiencing right now. Um, that being said, while he's hot, I don't have a problem to pick him up, but just given the vast amount of other options that are out there that have great schedules upcoming and everything, Josh Norris didn't make the cut this week.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. All right, let's move over to the defense. It's already a wasteland here, but Brant Clark, Owen Power, Jamie Drysdale. I've got Jack Thompson on the list, Philip Broberg, Lane Hudson, Colton Parayko as guys to keep an eye on at the very least here. Broberg is a weird one. He doesn't shoot. He doesn't do the things we typically like for fantasy, really. But I'm growing a little bit more concerned about Falk hanging on to the top power play all season long. I think
Yeah.
Broberg could be the guy to take it there. So yeah, at least including him on the list. Maybe there'll be, if there's a week where you can get Broberg in as a streamer on your team, maybe he turns into something more in that week. That's generally how I like these things to come to be on my team. I don't like to just go out and add a guy on power play 2 and just hope that he continues scoring a bunch of points with crazy percentages. I like to get a good stream in, and then hopefully something good happens that week and he gets the deployment or something like that and he
Yep.
becomes something more for me. Sub 20% roster, Drysdale here and Pavel Minchikov. Minchikov, another guy who doesn't shoot a whole ton, but the underlying metrics always look pretty good for him. Yeah, I'm always going to have some sort of interest in Minchikov here. Sub 10% rostered, you got Eric Gustafson back up and running that top power play in Detroit for the time being, so you could do worse. Jack Thompson, Alex Vlasic, who we've already talked about, they're both 1% rostered at the moment. And then Olin Zellweger, I have here 3% rostered. Not sure what Cronin's plan with Zellweger is long term. Like, to me, this is the guy that you should be just giving all the power play
Yeah.
time to, be giving at least 20 minutes a night. The underlying metrics typically look pretty good with Zellweger when you give him any run. And so, yeah, I'm hopeful that it'll just happen at some point here. It hasn't happened yet, but I think that this is maybe one of the best offensive talents at defense that we have that's not, getting a full-time role just yet. And so if and when that happens, I want to be in on Zellweger. Anything with the defenseman here, Blake?
No, nothing to see here.
Yeah, it is pretty gross. That is for sure. So let's talk about some goalies. That's a little bit more exciting. I think we had some movement this week. I think it's already last call on Justus Annunen, 34% rostered at the moment, but climbing. It's probably climbed since I wrote that down. Kevin Lankinen just squeaks in here at 49% rostered. Lucas Dostal at 42%. Charlie Lindgren, 37%. There are definitely options out there in a fair number of leagues here. I'll get your thoughts here. Do you agree with my ranking? Would you do this any differently at the moment?
No, I like that. Yeah, Eustace, this guy's must own at this point. Like, it doesn't mean he's going to be the number one moving forward, but right now he's getting another start. Like, and he's winning, right? Where Georgiev, we know the struggles he's had. So I think they're going to roll with the hot hand for a little bit. And this is a pocket of value where Annunen is the guy. So you got to have him on your squad. And then Lankinen, we just received word too about Demko, like, or lack of a word, where they're saying like there's no update. We don't know what the hell's going on. So it's going to be Lankinen and Sheloves, and Lankinen has separated himself. So this guy's must add too, right? Unfortunately, the Canucks don't have an amazing schedule over the next little bit, but I think you got to have him. You got to have him. All right, Kevin Lankinen. And then, yeah, Dostal, we've already talked about him being like playing lights out, but he's on a terrible team. Charlie Lindgren, I would be so interested in that player if he wasn't tandeming with Logan Thompson, because Washington's had a nice start too. But yeah, great ranking. I totally agree with it.
All right. 25% rostered and under. Alex Lyon shows up here. Petr Mrazek and Daniil Tarasov. Tarasov, I think, is taking over that net in Columbus, and it's actually not a bad spot to be at the moment. Columbus, obviously surprising, maybe some regression coming, but I do think Dean Evison has them playing better than they've played at probably any point in the last, 5 years.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think that's a legitimate spot to find a goalie at the moment. Um, yeah, I just think that these three guys are probably under the radar guys that you might be able to pick up still. Lyon may still cede some net share with Cam Talbot there. I'm not exactly sure what their plan is moving forward there. Talbot came in and had a pretty good game against New Jersey. So we'll see what happens moving forward. But Lyon has been terrific in the last little bit. Do want to just throw out like something's gonna happen in Pittsburgh. Blomqvist in this game here tonight, like in
He was
the
great.
end, yeah, in the end it's a 4-0 Oilers W, but I believe it was 50 shots that Blomqvist faced, stop 46. Yeah, absolutely peppered. And Nedeljkovic hasn't exactly come back from his injury and just laid claim to the net either there. Tristan Jarry, like, I don't know what the plan is there, but it doesn't seem like he's going to be a factor anytime soon. Maybe he'll do the Ilya Samsonov thing from last year with the Leafs, and at some point he'll come back and he'll get some net run again. But basically, I'm just trying to assess who might be the hot hand here in Pittsburgh. If they go back to Blomqvist, you might want to think about snapping that up if you're in need of a goaltender. All right. We need to get to the head-to-head streamer deathmatch.
Oh yeah.
Basically, we flew too close to the sun, I think
Yep.
is what happened
Yeah.
here. Blake, last week with our picks, they were terrific picks. Mikhail Granlund and Casey Middlestat, 20 plus points for each one. And then this week rolls around and not so hot. So
I knew it going in. When you pick Paul Cotter, you
yeah,
expect the worst and hope for the best.
yeah. So Cotter has 7.5 cacuffle points in 3 games played, one more to go there. Morgan Frost has 5.75 points in 2 games played. He has 2 more to go there. So we'll see what happens over the last little bit here. But we need to make some picks for week 4 at the moment, Blake. And it is an even number week. So you have the first pick.
All right. I'm just going to keep it simple here. Let's go Gabe Velarde. We got to do this. I obviously I don't like the metrics, but I like the deployment. I like the power play 1 and the line 1. So I'm not going to try and get cute here. I'm going Gabe Velarde. Let's get to biz.
All right. I can't fault you for that one. I think I'm going to go with my guy. I'm going to go with Kirill Marchenko. Don't let me down.
Oh, I love that.
Let's do it.
This is a compelling matchup right here. This is no Paul Cotter versus the Tinkly Winkly man.
Right. We've got line 1, power play 1, real threats here.
Oh, big time. Massive threats.
More than we could say for our efforts this past week. All right, Blake. If you made it to the end of this beefer episode, you should definitely click the link in the description. Join the Discord community. Join literally over 1,000. What are we at? Like 1,500 Discord members. 1,600.
I don't know. I'm trying to steam us up a bit.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
Come join us. Talk fantasy hockey all day, every day. Like, rate, review, subscribe, comment, all of that stuff really does help us out. So we would be very grateful to you if you could take a few extra moments and do that for us. But I think that's going to be all that we've got for this episode. Hopefully it brought you some value, helped you get a little bit better at fantasy hockey today. All the advanced stats you heard today came from Natural Stat Trick, which is a terrific free resource.
I'd heard
Many
that.
thanks to the band there for supplying music for the podcast. Be sure to check out their Spotify as well. That's it, folks. Much love.